Welcome to the State's Attorney's Office 6th Annual Drug Overdose and Prevention Vigil and our first virtual version. I am Brian DiLeonardo, the State's Attorney for Carroll County. I welcome and thank all of you for joining us. At this time, let us remember those we have lost and the reason for coming together in this program.
Where was I when the sky fell down? 'Cause I didn't feel the world stand still. Now I'm stepping over stars on the ground. 'Cause without you here, nothing else feels real. And I don't know where we are, but we're not where we're supposed to be. And I don't know where to start, 'cause without you there's no me. And even though my heart is in the right place, this time it just won't be. No, I don't know where to go when we're not where we're supposed to be. How did we end up miles apart? Yeah, oh, it's like I blinked and you've gone away. Yeah, in my head I'm asking questions, but the answers run from me. And the only thing I seem to get is everything has changed. And I don't know where we are, but we're not where we're supposed to be. And I don't know where to start, 'cause without you there's no me. And even though my heart is in the right place, this time it just won't be. No, I don't know where to go when we're not where we're supposed to be. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh. And I don't know
It is very difficult to follow video such as that. So many lives lost too soon. So many futures that did not get to play out. But part of the healing process is sharing your grief with those that care. I can assure you that everyone that is involved with this program today and all of those that are watching at home care and share in your loss. Remembering those lost and using that deep sense of loss to drive all of us forward to combat the challenge we face is our reason for gathering today to put on this program. I am encouraged not only to have an amazing number of participants in this program, but I also am encouraged to have so many of you at home joining us. Before proceeding with the program, I want to give my heartfelt and deep thank you and appreciation to the Carroll Media Center. They have opened up their doors, welcomed all of us with their tremendous facilities, and offered the help of their staff, all in order to help us make this fitting tribute for all that we've lost in the county. Without that willingness, we would not have been able to accommodate this program or perform it and deliver it to you virtually. That commitment and support starts at the very top. And that is why it is my honor to introduce Richard Turner, Executive Director for the Carroll Media Center, and ask him to come forward and to say a few words.
Thank you, Brian. This is where we need a common and shared moment together in our community. The grieving and loss we experience touches us all to one degree or another. But it can be even worse and even more devastating when that pain, grief, and loss is suffered in isolation. We choose to honor the victims, to share in a family's and friends' loss so they are not alone. Has made the commitment to document, share, and this year to help host this virtual vigil. It's not the same when we can't be all in the same room where we can not only see the impact, but truly feel the impact. My greatest hope is that you will find not only a moment of peace, but a motivation to reach out to someone else who is isolated and let them know you care and that they are not alone in our community.
The number of lives we have lost in Carroll County each year is a staggering number. But we are not here today about numbers, because behind these numbers are real people and real families and real friends. While some have a stereotypical view of the user, that is simply not the reality. These are mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and friends who are no different than everyone else's. The face of addiction comes in many forms. The last several years, I have spoken to many parents around the county that have lost children to drugs. I've heard how their child was a Boy Scout or was very accomplished in band, was an accomplished actor, had great aspirations. And they also had very caring and loving parents. But ultimately, addiction set in. Just a few of those that are affected you are going to hear from in the course of this program. It is my hope that this program will resonate with you in some way. If you have lost a loved one, I hope you take comfort in knowing that you have people in this community and as part of this program that care about your loss and that we want to prevent others from feeling that same pain. Your loss is indeed shared loss by the entire community. If you are in recovery, I hope in this program you have the chance to see a community that wants to desperately support and encourage your efforts. If you are in the throes of addiction, I hope you will see there is hope for a different way. There is hope and that resources in this community and people as part of this program are prepared to help you. In the end, for us to confront this challenge and for us to take this challenge that we face head on, it will require a community effort, an effort from law enforcement, our treatment providers, our schools, our nonprofits, and most importantly, all of you in the community. But together, we are delivering today a message of hope, that in the midst of the loss and the pain that many of you are going to hear from in this program is hope. Hope for you, hope for those in addiction, and hope for a better Carroll County.
Hi, my name is Tammy Lofink, and I am honored to be a part of the 6th Annual Drug Overdose and Prevention Vigil. To be a part of this program, which is held by the Carroll County State's Attorney's Office and which is supported by so many respected members of the community, is really a privilege. I want to especially thank Brian DiLeonardo for having the confidence in me that my personal story will make an impact on addressing the addiction epidemic. I want to acknowledge Tim Weber, who has become one of my dearest friends and who has guided me through my journey of loss and healing. Tim has shown me through example the beauty and power of healing through the act of helping others. My story that I am about to share is tragic, yet it has defined who I am, what my purpose is, and has taken my life in a different direction that I never saw coming. On February 21st, 1996, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy who was so wanted and so loved. After many failed attempts of trying to conceive, we ended up having to go the route of fertility treatments. We were blessed and happy when he was born after waiting so long to have a baby. We named him Robert Mason Lofink. Robert was a typical boy, full of energy and couldn't sit still. He was also gifted with an incredible personality. Our family lived on a cul-de-sac in Eldersburg. Robert had 2 parents who loved him dearly, his sister, our dog, and many friends and playgroups. We were blessed with great schools and a supportive community. Robert was popular in school, well-liked and kind. Robert had a lot of energy. He couldn't sit still, and school could be difficult at times. As he got older, the confinement and rules of school caused him to struggle to focus. He loved the social part of school, but sitting quietly in class was not easy. He was funny and teachers really liked him, but he could not stay on task. By the time middle school hit, some behavioral issues started. In middle school, we suspected drinking and marijuana use. By high school, he was hanging around kids who were getting into trouble. His substance use was picking up. As much as we tried to reroute him to sports and friends who were moving along more positively, we struggled to keep him on track. He agreed to see a therapist and developed a great connection with him. Even though we tried different methods to help him, by the time Robert was 17, we had to send him to rehab. When he got out of rehab, naively we thought when he was released he would be okay and that life would go back to normal. Robert managed to finish high school early and to get a job. He had even signed up for classes at the local community college. Looking back now, I can see that things were not going as smoothly as I thought they were. We thought things were going well until one horrible morning when we found Robert dead in his bed in his bedroom. It was September 14th, 2014. Robert was just 18 years old. I will never forget that morning. I got up, I went for a run, I worked out, and was making sandwiches for lunch when Rob's girlfriend stopped over. We talked for a few minutes. Robert was sleeping in his bed, or so I thought. His girlfriend left the kitchen to go up the stairs to Robert's room to wake him. That's when I heard the blood-curdling scream, and I knew that something was terribly wrong. All of a sudden, I heard our daughter screaming. I ran upstairs. That's when I saw Robert's lifeless body lying on his bed. I knew that the worst had happened, and I had an overwhelming need to get as far away as I could because I could not bear to see this. Needless to say, from that moment on, life as I knew it was over. My life suddenly became before my son died and after my son died. I knew I needed to do something that would not only help others, but would help me to heal from this tragedy. On the 1-year anniversary of Robert's death, I started a nonprofit called Rising Above Addiction. The nonprofit raises awareness of addiction. It raises funds for urgent treatment for addicted individuals and families and helps to navigate access to treatment. Rising Above Addiction has strong community support and is a leader in the treatment and recovery movement. I have also opened 2 sober homes for women, which are supported by the community. They are called Reclaiming My Life and Keeping My Serenity. Reclaiming My Life is named after our son, Robert Mason Lofink, and Keeping My Serenity is named after Kristen Marie Spurrier. I am a community partner with the State's Attorney's Office and our local health department. Rising Above Addiction holds annual fundraisers, including a golf tournament that is in partnership with Carroll County Drug Court Fund. Recently, I was blessed to partner up with local writer Sylvia Blair. Together, we created and published a book called Reclaiming My Life. The book is the story of my journey through loss, healing, and the reclaiming of my life. All net proceeds go directly to Rising Above Addiction to help people get into treatment. In closing, my life certainly did not turn out the way that I had planned or that I had hoped it would be. Yet I have been put on a beautiful journey. Let me read you a few lines from my book that say it all so well. You cannot lose a part of yourself and really ever be whole again. However, if you are able to find the gifts in tragedy, life will open a new door which you weren't expecting to enter. I used to yearn for the former person that I was. Now I spend time getting to know the new me, confidently and gratefully. I could not save Rob, but in the end, Rob saved me. To those who are so generously spending their time watching and listening to this program, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to listen to my story. Always remember that if you or a loved one or someone that you know is struggling with addiction, you can reach out to me at any time. For those of you who have lost someone to addiction, please know that I understand your pain. A big thank you to everyone who has supported me along the way.
Hi, everybody. My name is Tim Weber. I am the Community Education Liaison for the Carroll County State's Attorney's Office. I'm honored to be a part of the 6th Annual Overdose and Prevention Vigil. Tonight will be much different as we're coming to you virtually, but I can promise you that each and every name that we read will have the same emotion and feeling behind each one that is read. Tonight, while you're home, I hope that you will light a candle when you hear a name read. And tonight, I want to talk to you a little different. Tonight, I want to talk to you from the heart, not as the Community Education Liaison, but I want to talk to you as a person in long-term recovery from a substance use disorder. And what that means to me is that for 19 years, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. For 12 of those years, I was addicted to heroin. But on November 8th, 2003, I started to embrace recovery. I asked for help, and my life started to change. And from that day to this day, one of the things that I found that keeps me going and that I get up for every day is the fact that I can use my negative past to pull people into a positive future. So that takes me to what I want to talk about tonight. I want to talk about hope and give you some hope numbers. I was 37 years old. I was addicted to heroin. I was homeless. I was on the streets of Baltimore. Quite honestly, everybody I knew had given up hope that I was going to ever recover. But for some reason, on that day in November, I was done. And I continued to follow that path of recovery. So that brings me to 2015, when I was hired by the State's Attorney's Office to be the Drug Treatment and Education Liaison. I was literally put in a position where I was every day around people who were just like me, lost, hopeless, and no hope. But I was able to use my negative past to pull them into a positive future. Then in 2016, under the direction of our state's attorney, we started a program called the Early Intervention Program. And that program is a program that hopefully catches people in the early stages of an opiate addiction, in the early stages of their criminal history. And if they have a misdemeanor and they come into our diversion program, they get evaluated by a drug treatment program, and they have to follow whatever that evaluation says. They get drug tested once a week, and they have to attend 12-step meetings. If they complete that program in a year's time, sometimes it takes a little longer, they get that record expunged. And that's a big deal for people starting their life over in recovery. And that takes me to what I want to talk about, some of those positive numbers. The early intervention program, from 2016 to 2020, we've had 50 participants. Out of those 50 participants, 23 of them graduated. Out of those 23, 15 of them have a year or more clean and sober. And out of them, 4 of them have bought homes in our county. 4 of them are productive, respected members of our community. Actually, more than 4 of them, but 4 of them have bought homes and are actively participating in the community, in the treatment industry as well. 2 of them work in the private industry, and 2 of them work for our local health department. That is the reason that I do what I do, the hope that hopefully someday people will turn their life around and get their lives back. And that takes me to one person, one of our graduates that I want to talk about. I'm not going to tell her story, and her name is Corey. I mean, she's one of our speakers tonight. But I want to tell you a little bit about how I met Corey. I got a call from the Carroll County Sheriff's Department, and they were at her house, and they'd found drugs and paraphernalia. Her parents were really upset and quite honestly scared to death that their daughter was either going to end up in jail or not live through this addiction. Some steps were taken, and she ended up in court. And I can tell you, I remember sitting in court next to her father, and the judge asked her father if he had anything to say. And he got up, and watching this man with the tears in his eyes, scared to death of what was going to happen with his daughter, asked the judge for help. And she ended up into the early intervention program. Now, Corey had some bumps in the road in the beginning, but I can tell you that she eventually embraced recovery. She worked really hard. She is now, not only is she a wife, she is a daughter, she's a sister, and she's a mother. And she also works for the local health department. She gets to get up every day, like I do, and use her negative past to pull people into a positive future. It's such a blessing to be able to watch people recover, and that's what I get to do. I literally go to work every day with the opportunity to help someone, and it just doesn't get any better than that. One of the other blessings that I get to see because I'm in long-term recovery and I'm engaged in the recovery community is sometimes I become friends with the people that I'm either able to help or that I'm in recovery with. And that was the case with Corey and her family. I became really good friends with her and her family and the young man that she was going to marry. And they asked me to officiate the wedding and marry them. To say that I was honored is an understatement. I mean, that's a big deal. And so what I wasn't expecting was when I was standing up front with her soon-to-be husband and his groomsmen and watching her father walk down the aisle with Corey and those tears in his eyes, different tears than we saw before, different tears that were in the courtroom when he was scared to death of his daughter living through the addiction. Now it was tears of joy and excitement for the future that she has. That's the reason I do this. That's the reason that I get up every day and hope that I can go to work and help someone. If you know someone that needs help, reach out, because there is help out there. There's plenty of Coreys. There's plenty of people just like me that now use their negative past to help direct people into a positive future. If you're still breathing, there is still hope. Thank you, and God bless.
Hello, my name is Corey O'Donnell Bachmiller. I would like to start by thanking Brian DeLeonardo and Tim Weber, as well as the rest of the Carroll County State's Attorney's Office, for inviting me to speak today at the 6th Annual Drug and Overdose Prevention Vigil. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. Also, thank you to everyone tuning in to support those who lost a loved one to this disease of addiction. I am proud to say that I am a person in long-term recovery. On April 29, 2017, I chose a life of recovery. I do not share that to brag. I share that to hopefully give someone struggling hope and to show the positive outcome of overdose prevention. I will share a little bit of what led me to my life of recovery. I had a normal childhood with amazing parents, did great in school, played sports, went on to college. I graduated college with great grades and started a career. The one difference in me compared to my peers was that I was never at peace with myself, and I had the disease of addiction. At some point between high school and college, I had some surgeries and fell into the prescription opioid epidemic. Prescription use turned into prescription abuse, and at first it was fun. I was also able to hide my drug abuse with ease. Then fun eventually led me down the path of the heroin epidemic that we are still facing today. Things continuously got worse for me not long after graduating college. In April of 2015, I had my first overdose. My parents and the Carroll County first responders helped save my life. I overdosed a second time in December of 2015. My life was saved yet again. It's important for me to mention the lasting impact these events had on my parents. My mom and dad can recall every detail of both of these days as if they were yesterday. I vaguely remember these incidents. My mom had to provide me with those dates. I share that because in my experience, my loved ones were those most impacted by my disease. In 2015, I was also connected with Tim Weber and Tammy Lofink, who became two of my biggest supporters. They believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and both assisted me along my journey with getting me into treatment multiple times. I am forever grateful to both of them. Unfortunately, 2015 was not the year of lasting change for me. I had some legal consequences that caught up to me as a result of various actions while in active addiction. And in February 2016, I was given the opportunity to join a program offered by the Carroll County State's Attorney's Office called the Early Intervention Program. This program allowed for first-time drug offenders in Carroll County to divert from a criminal record by completing a continuous year's worth of strict monitoring and community interventions. I successfully graduated from this program in November of 2017. I like to share the efforts of the first responders in our community, the court programs offered as alternative to jail sentences, as well as individual people who helped intervene, because without these people and programs, I would not have been given the opportunities I had to go to treatment, find my path to recovery, rebuild my life, and pay all of this forward. I recognize that I have been given a second chance at life, and I value that gift. I have chosen to take this as an opportunity to help others in both my personal and professional life. I have overwhelming gratitude for the life I have, and it is with so much joy that I stand before you today and share that I am now the mother to a beautiful little boy that has never and will never see his mother under the influence of a substance. I am a wife, a daughter, a sister, a friend. I show up when I am called upon. I spend time with my parents and other family members, and they actually enjoy my company. I work at the Carroll County Health Department and help people in the community through several roles I have, one of which is through peer recovery support. Perhaps most importantly, I have found that inner peace I was missing from myself, that drugs could not fill. I truly feel that I lead a life worth living today, and I will never take that for granted. Thank you for your time today.
Hello, my name is Fred Hecker. I am the judge in charge of Carroll County's Adult Drug Treatment Court. Drug treatment courts grew out of empirical evidence that punishment alone is ineffective to reduce the incidence of drug-related crimes. Drug treatment courts save lives. We want to make sure that vigils like this become a thing of the past. That's why you have buy-in in our drug treatment court from the state's attorney's office, defense attorneys, corrections, law enforcement, state and local government. The mission of the Carroll County Adult Drug Treatment Court is to reduce dependency through effective allocation of community resources to an intensive court-supervised program that combines treatment with support services for eligible offenders. Participants in the drug treatment court are immediately held accountable for short-term goals of attending and participating in all aspects of their treatment plan and by maintaining 6 consecutive months of sobriety prior to graduation. Since our inception in our drug treatment court, we've graduated nearly 250 Carroll County residents. That's mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers. Drug treatment court is a tough road, but the payoff is huge if you're successful. Our drug treatment court graduates, even those who don't graduate, regain things that the court simply is not typically capable of giving them. They regain the trust and love of family and friends, for example. Our drug treatment court participants become parents, they regain custody of their children, they obtain employment, and they regain privileges that they have lost over the years. Some go on to establish themselves as leaders in our recovery community. So my message today to you is one of hope. It's one in which I want to convey to you that drug treatment court can bring about change, bring about hope to many who have lost hope, lost faith in the system, lost faith in themselves, and lost a sense of self-worth. So what I want to do before I conclude, I want to leave you with a message, and this message is not from me. This is a message written by one of our recent drug treatment court graduates just prior to one of our recent graduations. How do I put into words the gratitude I have for you and the drug treatment court team for the life I live today? To say thank you is an understatement. To say the drug treatment court team changed my life is too cliche. My family and I will forever be grateful to the drug treatment court program for giving me a second chance to be a mother to my son, a daughter to my mother, and a sober and productive member of my community. I have a life today that I never thought was possible when I was in the grips of my addiction. Today, my son does not have to worry if his mom is sober when he comes home from school. He knows that dinner will be on the table every night, food will be in the cupboards, and candy jars will always be filled. Today, he knows the lights will come on in the house when the sun goes down. He knows that he will lay his head on his pillow in his bed in his room tonight, tomorrow night, and every night thereafter. My son does not have to worry if there will be an eviction notice taped to the front door for all the neighbors to see. My sobriety has given my son security and a peace of mind. He gets to be a kid. Today, my mom can go to be and fall asleep in peace, knowing there won't be a phone call or a knock on the door in the middle of the night telling her something tragic has occurred. She knows I will get her bills paid on time, take her to church on Sunday, and be there for her. She gets to live out her life knowing she will be cared for. So on behalf of my son, my mom, and myself, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Being a participant in the drug treatment court program has given me the chance to do the right thing this time. It's not been easy, and at times it's been quite miserable. And I've had to acknowledge and change some pretty ugly things about myself, but I look at it this way: doesn't a brilliant diamond start out as a dirty piece of coal?
One of the really important ways that we combat the opiate epidemic is to not only hear the speakers and hear the stories that you hear today, but create programs that actually will help to address those that are most impacted by this crisis. And one of the programs that I am particularly proud that we are part of is the program called Camp Thrive. We're going to give you a short video that will give you a description about what this program is and why it is so important to our community.
The thought of Camp Thrive came to me at one point when I was working with a 7th grade student. She had just lost her mother to an overdose, and we had many talks for a long period of time, and at some point we kind of worked together on finding that we needed more opportunities within our community to give students time together.
So when they come to Camp Thrive, not only are they in a caring environment, having fun, but we incorporate skills and strategies to help them cope with loss.
It's so important because it just gives everybody a really necessary break, spend some time doing something outside with their peers, have a place, have a little bit of time over one weekend where they were just free from everything.
You know, just to see these kids having fun.
Kids are going to find connections through Camp Thrive, that they're not the only one going through a tough situation.
There was a lot of concern about whether or not we were going to get enough students. I think the eye-opening thing is the need is so great.
If we are going to stop the tub from flooding when we're dealing with overdoses, we have to first turn off the spigot.
Developmentally, this is probably the most vulnerable age in terms of the impression of trauma on students. We are beginning to help kids make decisions, and we want to turn decision-making over to them.
We want to provide a special type of camp with some incredible resources in dealing with trauma and tools for dealing with trauma.
Kids need a voice, they need to be heard, they need the supports, and they need to be able to express what they're going through and be able to find ways to keep fighting and get through a tough situation.
We played a kickball tournament against all of the kids, and needless to say, we lost. But it was a really great experience to see the connection and how much the kids enjoyed having that connection.
When a child leaves Camp Thrive, all of our vision and all of our hope that when they leave, a child can leave knowing that they're loved, that we care, that there's an opportunity for them to get through what they need to get through in a tough time, to know that they have someone they can go to, that this could carry over into a school year.
I think all of us involved in this project are really excited about the hope for this project to continue, for this camp to continue for years to come.
So hopefully you have a better understanding of the Camp Thrive program and why it is so important. And one of the things that I have the privilege to do is to recognize people that are in our community that are often unsung, that make these kind of programs possible. We, every year for our Vigil, give what we call the Message of Hope Award. And the Message of Hope Award was an award designed when I first started this Vigil to recognize those people that provide a light that we can get out of this epidemic. We can meet these challenges and have a brighter future. And we can help those that are not only in the throes of addiction, but those that are impacted by the addiction in our community, to ensure that one day we do not see the amount of harm and pain in our community that addiction brings. And so it is a great privilege for me to recognize the individuals that help make Camp Thrive possible. The first person I want to recognize is Kelly Snyder. She is a pupil personnel worker with Carroll County Public Schools. She is someone that I've known for a long time who has an incredibly huge heart when it comes to children and is very passionate about helping those that are affected by substance abuse disorders. She certainly has assisted with us in our office over the years with prevention programs throughout Carroll County Public Schools. And in fact, it was Kelly who initially brought this idea of Camp Thrive to my attention. And of course, with the partnerships that we all made since then, the rest is history. And so with that, I would ask Kelly Snyder to come forward and receive your award. So again, in continuing with this program is made possible with having great partners. And the next would be Kate Swisher. Kate works for the Carroll County Youth Service Bureau, where I have the privilege of serving as a board member. She coordinates activities and operations for Camp Thrive. Has been a great representative of the Youth Service Bureau and helps really create the fun, therapeutic experience for the campers. Clearly, that kind of passion and having that kind of dedication is what makes a program like Camp Thrive not only exist, but be successful. And so with that, I would ask Kate to come forward. Next, in Carroll County Public Schools would be Judy Klinger. Judy is supervisor of school counseling for Carroll County Public Schools. And we certainly had a great deal of discussions over the years. Initially, a separate program handled with CARE and getting that off the ground. And ultimately, Camp Thrive is an extension of that. These are programs that are designed to help deal with children that have experienced trauma, whether that was from different kind of traumatic events, whether it's opioid-related or not. And certainly her support of programs like Handle with Care, as well as Camp Thrive and involvement of that, really has enabled us to have a tremendous partnership with Carroll County Public Schools. And so with that, I would ask Judy Klinger to come forward. And so next, we certainly have heard the value of the partnerships between our office, Carroll County Youth Service Bureau, and Carroll County Public Schools. But an incredibly important component is the involvement of community members as well. We are very fortunate to have such generous and supportive community members that will see a cause like this and certainly see its importance and have a passion to support that. And that is certainly someone that we have with Cindy Pell, who is the founder of the Doug Metz Foundation. Cindy and I had a conversation at the beginning of the formation of Camp Thrive, and Doug Metz, who we sadly lost several years ago, way too early, was a man with a very huge heart and a huge concern and care for children in our community. And so immediately I thought about Cindy and Doug as a natural supporter and partner to a program like this. And I'm incredibly grateful that she created the Doug Metz Foundation to ultimately provide the resources and support that will make Camp Thrive exist not only now, but into the future. And so I wanted to recognize as well with the message of hope to Cindy Pell and the Doug Metz Foundation. So I think it's important, as we said, when these programs and you hear about what is being done in the community, to recognize those who toil behind the scenes and are unsung heroes that make this kind of program what it is today. I want to thank, at this time, everyone who participated in delivering this program to you today. It is truly a community effort to make this program happen, and I am always moved and amazed by those that will come in and very publicly share their pain and personal challenges in order to help those in the community that are battling addiction or that have lost a loved one. And I hope you did indeed find comfort in this program. At this time, we are going to proceed with the benediction and the reading of the names. If you would like, during the reading of the names, certainly you could light a candle, as we traditionally do in our in-person vigils. But I would like to ask formally Senior Assistant State's Attorney in my office, Steve Rozier, to come forward. He is enjoying a well-deserved retirement from prosecution over 3 decades, but he has long served as a deacon in the Archdiocese of Baltimore. So I would ask him to come forward and provide us some comfort and some words of encouragement and hope, and then we will immediately go into the reading of the names. Thank you again for all joining us tonight.
Hello, I'm Deacon Stephen Rocher. I want to thank Brian DiLeonardo for once again allowing me to be a part of this memorial vigil. You know, when we deal with a loved one who may have lost their life due to the bondage of addiction, we often seek a source of comfort and wisdom. And for many, that is a power greater than ourselves that some may call Allah, or Jehovah, or Yahweh, or God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. So I invite you now, those who wish to do so, bow your heads in prayer. O good and gracious God, we place ourselves before you today as we remember loved ones who have died as a result of being unable to loosen the grip of addiction. The sense of loss that we are feeling leaves us frustrated, sad, angry, and empty. But we're now turning to you, Father, asking that you fill us with your Spirit. Let it be a spirit of wisdom, a spirit of healing, and a spirit of comfort. As time passes, we pray that the memories of the good times we shared with those that we loved and that those that we now miss will drive away the pain of their untimely deaths. Help us to be comforted by the belief that their struggles have come to an end and that they now rest in eternal peace. We ask you too, Heavenly Father, to help those who do their best to render aid to the people who find themselves in the bondage of addiction. Bless first responders with the patience needed to render aid in the face of extraordinary circumstances. Bless those in the criminal justice system with the wisdom to address the issues that come before them in productive ways. Bless those in the recovery and treatment venues with the compassion to guide those that they serve along an effective path to a healthy life. Bless those parents, grandparents, and siblings who care about those who struggle with addiction, to have the fortitude to help guide their loved ones to a life free of harm. Finally, dear Lord, bless those who now gather to remember a deceased member of their family with the comfort of knowing that they now rest in peace. If it be your will, Father, grant what we ask of you this day. Shalom, peace, amen.
Aaron Glenn Allball, Randall Patrick Allen, Kelly Arden Amenheiser, Jared Vince Avarella, Kelly Roy Ballou, Albert John Bangs Jr., Rebecca Lynn Bailey, Brian Dale Baker, Christopher Brandon Beatty, Aaron Christopher Bell, Dana Robert Bender, Victoria Lee Blackburn, Nathan Scott Blankenship, Stephen Earl Bowman, Corinne Marie Bazell, John Edward Bradley, Jack Byron Bruce, Terrence Lee Burt, Craig Allen Bushneck, Luther Corbett Butler, Guy Alton Callaghan, Courtney Taylor Case, Raymond Glenn Chaffman, Corey Joseph Chilcote, Brandon Wesley Clark, Sarah Ann Classing, Virginia Elizabeth Coles, Lauren Nicole Kukora, Brandon Michael Cutler, John Emery Davis, Billy Dwayne Deaton, Robert Thomas Della, Mike DeMoss, Kenneth Anthony Denny, Jeffrey Scott Dixon, Brennan Joseph Doherty, Allison Haley Dyke, John Scott Fair, Melissa Diane Freeman, Tanya Renee Gore, Tia Renee Graham, Kenneth Maurice Griffin, James Kevin Groves, Kelly Marie Hall, Thomas Allen Hall, Thomas James Hardesty, Matthew Eugene Hardy, Charles Ray Harris, Crystal Gail Harrison, Stephen Daniel Headings, John Lawrence Hefner, Danielle Osborne Hill, Darnell Antonio Hill, Stephen Tyrone Hill, Herbert Charles Hilton, Kyle James Hauer, Joseph Daniel Hubbard, Jamie Elizabeth Hunt, Trent Nari Hoare, Michael Wayne Hussey, Susan Jameson, Brian Andrew Jennings, David Allen Jett, David Leroy Johnson, Eric Thomas Jones, Jared Martin Keel, Brandon Lee Kerrigan, Glenn Scott Kidd, Daniel Wayne King Sr., Dennis Wayne Kinzer, John Ryan Kirkwood, Allison Jill Koppel, Christopher Allen Kress, Sarah Ann Kroner, Kelly Denise Lee, Matthew Brian Lagore, Joy Michelle Leister, Dina Lynn Leonard, Patricia V. Lewis, Alan Lee Little, Sean Littlejohn, Robert Mason Lofink, Michelle Lee Long, Gregory Clinton Mayer, Ruth Ann Manchester, John Patrick Marley, Brian Keith McCrae, Donald Edward McIntyre, Alexander Matthew Malio, Robert Sylvester Miller, Richard Lewis Morris Jr., Charles Dwayne Morton, Bradley Joseph Mullen, Arch Francis Mueller Jr., Kimberly Ann Niswander, William Martin Noble, Sean Edward Null, Zachary Keith Honesty, Justin Ort, Renee Lynn Owens, James Lee Palmer, Harold Wayne Parker, Marcus Joseph Pascal, Giuseppe Roberto Passaretti, Joshua Scott Pattison, Teresa Ann Petticord, Hunter Thomas Prosser, Christopher Lucas Rambo, Thomas Manley Raver, Edward Redmond, John Roosevelt Redmond, Crystal Dawn Redshaw, Gary Dean Redding, Gordon Sanford Reed, Robert Joseph Reed, Jeremy Richard Reinhold, Matthew Edward Rendelman, Rick Rainey, Anthony Joseph Rusamano, Joseph William Schofield, Gerald Dennis Scott, Robert John Schaefer, James Lee Sheeps, Eric Yates Shelton, Samantha Danielle Shelton, Michael Bradley Shiver, Bradley William Shiflett, Jeremy Thomas Chirac, Christopher Michael Skipper, Tammy Lynn Smith, Sandra Jane Snydock, Casey Cerie Sonnefrank, Bradley Michael South, Tracy Suzanne Spera, Sean Allen Spires, Aaron Cooper Stars, Emily Kathleen Summerhill, Douglas Allen Tasker, Stacy Renee Tasker, Dwight Glenn Taylor, Kelly Lee Thomas, William Kenneth Thompson, Aaron Philip Walker, Joseph Ernest Walker, Nelson Paul White, Larry Allen Williams, Shelby Carlene Wilson, Shelby Caroline Wilson, Mara Rose Whitty, Jacob Elijah Wright, James Zablowski, Dylan Walter Zielinski, James Zumbrung.